What if the loudest thoughts in your mind didn't come from you? What if they echoed from your upbringing, your culture, the media you consume, and the people around you? For those living with OCD, this isn't a hypothetical, it's reality. Obsessive compulsive disorder is often portrayed as a personal quirk or mental glitch. But in truth, it is deeply intertwined with the social world we inhabit. Our beliefs, fears, and compulsions often have roots in the messages we've absorbed, sometimes subtly, sometimes violently, from family, school, culture, and media. Today, we're going deeper than symptoms and definitions. We're peeling back the layers to ask, how does the world around us shape the storm within us? The traditional view of OCD often highlights genetics, brain chemistry, and cognitive patterns. While these are crucial pieces, they don't tell the whole story. Imagine two children with similar genetic predispositions. One raised in a validating, emotionally open environment, and another raised in a perfectionistic, high-pressure home. Which one is more likely to develop chronic, debilitating compulsions? Research in epigenetics and developmental psychology shows that early environmental stressors, such as emotional neglect, harsh discipline, or excessive control, can activate or intensify OCD tendencies. The disorder becomes a coping mechanism, a way to create certainty in a world that feels emotionally unsafe. OCD is not simply a misfiring brain. It is often a brilliant, desperate strategy crafted in response to invisible, unrelenting pressure. Families teach us how to be human. They give us our first language of love, fear, safety, and shame. But what happens when those lessons are rigid, anxious, or conditional? Many people with OCD come from environments where control is survival. Parents who are anxious themselves may pass down a legacy of hypervigilance. In these homes, mistakes are not just errors, they are catastrophes. Emotions are not processed, they're punished or suppressed. Children in these families may learn that they are only lovable when they are good, clean, or compliant. This conditional acceptance creates an internal pressure to never disappoint, never offend, never be imperfect. And that pressure often crystallizes into obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. Sometimes, the family even unknowingly reinforces OCD. A child afraid of germs may be given gloves to help them feel better. A teen obsessed with moral purity may be repeatedly reassured that they are not a bad person. While these responses come from love, they also confirm the belief that the fear is real and must be managed through rituals. The family, without realizing it, becomes part of the cycle. School can be a place of growth or a laboratory of shame. For children predisposed to anxiety or OCD, the structure of traditional education often exacerbates the problem. Imagine a child with intrusive thoughts about making mistakes. In a system that prioritizes grades over growth, every test becomes a battleground. That child may reread the same sentence 50 times to make sure they understand it perfectly. They might rewrite entire assignments, terrified of a typo. Worse, if teachers reward perfection and punish risk-taking, the student quickly learns that anything short of flawless is failure. This turns learning into a fear-driven pursuit of approval, not curiosity. The social environment of school also matters. Kids with OCD often struggle with invisible compulsions, mental checking, excessive apologies, avoiding certain phrases or numbers. When these aren't understood by peers or teachers, the child may be labeled weird, slow, or overdramatic, further isolating them and compounding the anxiety. The trauma of being misunderstood at school can linger for years. Culture isn't just what we celebrate, it's what we fear, what we avoid, and what we silently expect. In many religious or conservative cultures, thoughts related to blasphemy, morality, sexuality, or cleanliness can become especially dangerous for someone with OCD. Take scrupulosity, a form of OCD centered on religious or moral obsession. In cultures where doubt is equated with sin, or where impure thoughts are shamed, a person with OCD may spiral into compulsive confession, excessive prayer, or self-punishment. Their intrusive thoughts become fused with deep existential dread. They're not just afraid of discomfort, they're afraid of eternal damnation. Even in secular cultures, societal values around success, beauty, and productivity can become toxic. A society that glorifies hustle culture and flawless social media images can turn someone's OCD into a full-time job. Compulsions can evolve into workaholism, perfectionism, or compulsive self-improvement. In essence, the culture doesn't just ignore OCD, it sometimes rewards it. Social media platforms are not designed for mental health, they're designed for engagement. Unfortunately, OCD engages. Algorithms reward fixation, repetition, and comparison, all core features of OCD thinking. Someone struggling with OCD may check a post 20 times before uploading, delete, and repost over a typo, or compulsively scroll through comments to reassure themselves they weren't misunderstood. The digital environment intensifies the fear of judgment. Worse, mental health trends online often trivialize or romanticize OCD, reducing it to a cute personality trait. I'm so OCD about my room being clean. These portrayals aren't just annoying, they're harmful. They erase the true suffering behind the disorder and make people feel even more misunderstood. Moreover, the constant barrage of information creates fertile ground for obsessions. From health scares to political fears, the 24/7 news cycle can trigger and amplify intrusive thoughts, making the mind feel like it's under siege. One of the lesser-known facts about OCD is how interpersonal it can be. The disorder doesn't exist in isolation, it constantly reacts to people. Someone with relationship OCD, ROCD, for example, might obsess over whether they really love their partner or whether their partner really loves them. They might seek reassurance multiple times a day. Are you mad at me? Do you still love me? These compulsions can exhaust relationships. Friends may begin to feel like emotional caretakers or worse, start withdrawing. But underneath those compulsions is something deeply human, the need for connection and safety. OCD also thrives in environments where boundaries are unclear. If someone's social circle invalidates their experience or mocks their symptoms, the person may internalize more shame, leading to more secrecy and worsening mental health. On the other hand, supportive relationships, those that gently set boundaries, model uncertainty tolerance, and offer unconditional presence, can be profoundly healing. OCD does not need to be a lifelong sentence. But recovery requires more than medication or therapy. It requires a shift in the social ecosystem. Parents must learn to replace control with connection. Schools must create room for psychological safety, not just academic excellence. Cultures must embrace nuance, doubt, and imperfection as part of the human experience. Friends must learn that support doesn't mean reassurance, it means holding space without fixing. On a societal level, this means advocating for accurate OCD representation in media, fighting stigma, funding mental health education, and empowering communities with tools to respond to suffering with empathy instead of fear. Healing isn't just the absence of symptoms. It's the presence of safety, understanding, and humanity. We heal best not alone, but in environments that whisper, "You are safe now." You don't need to perform to be loved. If OCD is shaped in part by the environments we grow up in, then we all share a responsibility. We can't control someone's brain wiring, but we can control the kind of world we create around them. Let's build a world where it's okay to be uncertain, where vulnerability is not weakness, and where no one has to carry their mind alone. Because the environment doesn't just shape OCD, it can also help set it free. Disclaimer: this video is not a substitute for medical advice. OCD is a complex and treatable condition. If you or someone you love is struggling, reach out to a licensed mental health professional. You are not alone, and healing is possible.